2.1.1 Why inspect? Safety is the most important reason you inspect your vehicle, safety for yourself and for other road users. A vehicle defect found during an inspection could save you problems later. You could have a breakdown on the road that will cost time and dollars, or even worse, a crash caused by the defect. Federal and state laws require that drivers inspect their vehicles. Federal and state inspectors also may inspect your vehicles. If they judge the vehicle to be unsafe, they will put it out of service until it is fixed.
2.1.2 Types of vehicle inspection. Pre-trip inspection. A pre-trip inspection will help you find problems that could cause a crash or breakdown. During a trip. For safety, you should watch gauges for signs of trouble, use your senses to check for problems, look, listen, smell, and feel. Check critical items when you stop, tires, wheels, and rims, brakes, lights and reflectors, brake and electrical connectors to the trailer, trailer coupling devices, cargo securement devices. After-trip inspection and report. You should do an after-trip inspection at the end of the trip, day, or tour of duty on each vehicle you operated. It may include filling out a vehicle condition report listing any problems you find. The inspection report helps a motor carrier know when the vehicle needs repairs.
2.1.3 What to look for. (2.1.4) CDL Pre-Trip Vehicle Inspection Test. In order to obtain a CDL, you will be required to pass a pre-trip vehicle inspection test. You will be tested to see if you know whether your vehicle is safe to drive. You will be asked to do a pre-trip inspection of your vehicle and explain to the examiner what you would inspect and why. The following 7-step inspection method should be useful.
2.1.5 7-step inspection method. Methods of inspection. You should do a pre-trip inspection the same way each time, so you will learn all the steps and be less likely to forget something. Approaching the vehicle. Notice the general condition. Look for damage or leaning to one side. Look under the vehicle for fresh oil, coolant, grease, or fuel leaks. Check the area around the vehicle for hazards to the vehicle movement, people, other vehicles, objects, low-hanging wires, limbs, etc.
2.1.6 Inspection during a trip. Check vehicle operation regularly. You should check instruments, air pressure gauge if you have air brakes, temperature gauges, pressure gauges, ammeter or voltmeter, mirrors, tires, cargo or cargo covers, lights, etc. If you see, hear, smell, or feel anything that might mean trouble, check it out. Safety inspection. Drivers of trucks and truck tractors, when transporting cargo, must inspect the securement of the cargo within the first 50 miles of a trip, and every 150 miles or every 3 hours, whichever comes first. 2.1.7 After trip inspection and report. You may have to make a written report each day on the condition of the vehicle or vehicles you drove. Report anything affecting safety or possibly leading to mechanical breakdown.
2.2 Basic control of your vehicle. To drive a vehicle safely, you must be able to control its speed and direction. Safe operation of a commercial vehicle requires skills in accelerating, steering, stopping, backing safely. Fasten your seatbelt when on the road. Apply the parking brake when you leave your vehicle. 2.2.1 Accelerating. Don't roll back when you start. You may hit someone behind you. If you have a manual transmission vehicle, partly engage the clutch before you take your right foot off the brake. Put on the parking brake whenever necessary to keep from rolling back. Release the parking brake only when you have applied enough engine power to keep from rolling back. On a tractor-trailer equipped with a trailer brake hand valve, the hand valve can be applied to keep from rolling back. Speed up smoothly and gradually so the vehicle does not jerk. Rough acceleration can cause mechanical damage. When pulling a trailer, rough acceleration can damage the coupling. Speed up very gradually when traction is poor, as in rain or snow. If you use too much power, the drive wheels may spin. You could lose control. If the drive wheels begin to spin, take your foot off the accelerator.
2.2.2 Steering. Hold the steering wheel firmly with both hands. Your hands should be on opposite sides of the wheel. If you hit a curb, pothole, or chuck hole, the wheel could pull away from your hands unless you have a firm hold.
2.2.3 Stopping. Push the brake pedal down gradually. The amount of brake pressure you need to stop the vehicle will depend on the speed of the vehicle and how quickly you need to stop. Control the pressure so the vehicle comes to a smooth, safe stop. If you have a manual transmission, push the clutch in when the engine is close to an idle.
2.2.4 Backing safely. Because you cannot see everything behind your vehicle, backing is always dangerous. Avoid backing whenever you can. When you park, try to park so you'll be able to pull forward when you leave. When you have to back, here's a few simple safety rules. Start in the proper position. Look at your path. Use mirrors on both sides. Back slowly. Back and turn toward the driver's side whenever possible. Use a helper whenever possible. These rules are discussed in turn below.
(2.3) Shifting gears. Correct shifting of gears is important. If you can't get your vehicle into the right gear while driving, you will have less control.
2.3.1 Manual transmissions. Basic method for shifting up. Most heavy vehicles with manual transmissions require double clutching to change gears. This is the basic method. Release accelerator, push and clutch, and shift to neutral at the same time. Release clutch. Let engine and gear slow down to the RPM required for the next gear. This takes practice. Push and clutch and shift to the higher gear at the same time. Release clutch and press accelerator at the same time. Shifting gears using double clutching requires practice. If you remain too long in neutral, you may have difficulty putting the vehicle into the next gear. If you do so, don't try to force it. Return to neutral, release clutch, increase engine speed to match road speed, and try again. Knowing when to shift up. There are two ways of knowing when to shift. Use engine speed, or RPM. Study the driver's manual for your vehicle and learn the operating RPM range. Watch your tachometer and shift up when your engine reaches the top of the range. Some newer vehicles use progressive shifting. The RPM at which you shift becomes higher as you move up in the gears. Find out what's right for the vehicle you will operate. Use road speed or miles per hour. Learn what speeds each gear is good for. Then, by using the speedometer, you will know when to shift up. With either method, you may learn to use engine sounds to know when to shift.
Basic procedures for shifting down. Release the accelerator, push in the clutch, and shift to neutral at the same time. Release the clutch. Press the accelerator, increase the engine and gear speed to the RPM required in the lower gear. Push in the clutch and shift to the lower gear at the same time. Release the clutch and press the accelerator at the same time. Downshifting, like upshifting, requires knowing when to shift. Use either the tachometer or the speedometer and downshift at the right RPM or road speed. Special conditions where you should downshift are:
Before starting down a hill, slow down and shift down to a speed that you can control without using the brakes hard. Otherwise, the brakes can overheat and lose their braking power. Downshift before starting down the hill. Make sure you are in a low enough gear, usually lower than the gear required to climb the same hill.
Before entering a curve, slow down to a safe speed and downshift to the right gear before entering the curve. This lets you use some power through the curve to help the vehicle be more stable while turning. It also allows you to speed up as soon as you are out of the curve.
2.3.2 Multi-speed rear axles and auxiliary transmissions. Multi-speed rear axles and auxiliary transmissions are used on many vehicles to provide extra gears. You usually control them by a selector knob or switch on the gear shift lever of the main transmission. There are many different shift patterns. Learn the right way to shift gears in the vehicle you will drive.
2.3.3 Automatic transmissions. Some vehicles have automatic transmissions. You can select a low range to get greater engine braking when going down grades. The lower range prevents the transmission from shifting up beyond the selected gear unless the governor RPM is exceeded. It is very important to use this braking effect when going down grades.
2.3.4 Retarders. Some vehicles have retarders. Retarders help slow a vehicle, reducing the need for using your brakes. They reduce brake wear and give you another way to slow down. There are 4 basic types of retarders: exhaust, engine, hydraulic, and electric. All retarders can be turned on or off by the driver. On some vehicles, the retarding power can be adjusted. When turned on, retarders apply their braking power to the drive wheels only whenever you let up on the accelerator pedal all the way. Because these devices can be noisy, be sure you know where their use is permitted. Caution: when your drive wheels have poor traction, the retarder may cause them to skid. Therefore, you should turn the retarder off whenever the road is wet, icy, or snow-covered.